Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Karen's stepdaughter expects me to pay for her college. I set her straight. After that, boss presents a horrible contract and says I can quit if I don't want to sign. So I do. And after that, am I the jerk for embarrassing my influencer friend by intentionally letting her post a meme that made her look stupid? Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen embarrasses herself on Facebook. What, by posting a picture of myself with you? So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Karen's stepdaughter expects me to pay for her college. I set her straight. I met my partner Madison 5 years ago. Madison has a daughter from her ex named Allie, who's 17, and I have a 15-year-old son from my previous relationship. They are both with us full-time. I would say since the first week we started dating that Allie never liked me. I've tried to bond with her, extending an olive branch to being able to simply coexist, but it's uneasy at best. She tells her mom the reason she dislikes me so much is because her mother moved in with me and moved away from her dad. They moved half an hour away with traffic. Madison is unable to work many jobs. She has a felony on her record. She was mailing high-priced bottles of bourbon across state lines at 23 and has a god-awful back that lays her up days at a time. With that said, I handle the expenses, which isn't a problem. I'm an engineer with a high wage and overtime is limitless if I want it. Allie makes life difficult when she can. She mocks me to my face, refuses to do chores, breaks into my wine cellar, and lately has been making fun of me with her dad via Facebook and Twitter. They enjoy calling me a nerd and a loser because I play Dungeons & Dragons, and I guess because I'm basically different. Everyone can see what they say about me on there, and it's embarrassing to say the least. Her mother stands up for me and tries to control it, but it doesn't last. Allie's dad isn't a saint, even though she thinks he is. He's in and out of trouble, can't hold a steady job, and he still lives with his mom. I'm not trying to be harsh on the guy here, but at least here it's anonymous, which is better than he gives me on Facebook. Recently, Allie has been jumping through the hoops of college applications, and she and her mother sat down to discuss options and whatnot. Allie isn't a great student, but she isn't terrible either. She's not going to get many, if any at all, scholarships or grants. Madison asked me about tuition, and I said I would match Allie's dad dollar for dollar. They kind of stared at me for a minute until my son broke the tension with a laugh and said, "Well, that might cover the gas to drop her off." I asked him to leave the kitchen, and he did. However, my wife was livid, and Allie was on the verge of crying. Allie left the kitchen, and my girlfriend said that was out of line and cruel for an adult to say that to someone her age. I shot back with, "Well, someone needed to set her straight, and you or her father weren't doing it, and now she will see her dad for what he really is." Guys, I'm tired of it. I didn't do anything to this girl, and I really tried to be there for her. I don't deserve to be treated like this, especially in my own home. I'm just tired of it all. I'm thinking of just ending it with Madison so I can be rid of Allie. I really love Madison, but her daughter should come first for her, and it's getting to a point where she's dead last for me. Am I the jerk for my remarks? Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk, or is Allie? Please let us know. Cry me a river, Allie. Cry me a river. Boss presents a horrible contract and says I can quit if I don't want to sign. So I do. I used to work for a local youth center kind of. I won't name them. The story goes like this. The man who ran the center knew a friend of a family who told him I was going to college for graphic design and video. He calls me and lets me know that under the umbrella of the youth center, he wanted to revive an old local magazine and wanted it to be run by youth. I was 18. He said that as well as a physical magazine, there was going to be a video component that would go on YouTube and the website, and that I would be a great fit for the team to help with this. He also said that they would assist in getting all participating youth started towards their own business. I was thinking, wow, I'll have a job right out of college. This is great. I was promised on-the-job training, an eventual pay increase to $18 an hour, and a lot of other stuff. I started at $14 an hour. I won't go into every detail, but basically I was told that I was to write articles for the magazine as well, as all employees would do this. No problem. Slowly but surely, we built a small team. I recommended a friend from college who would eventually become the editor. Let's call her editor. Another person who would become my friend was hired and directed and edited a lot of videos I worked on. We'll call him director. And there was also a sound technician named Rapper. There were other employees as well, but the four of us were the main magazine crew. The rest helped, but mostly worked at the youth center for youth reasons. Now that I've explained that, we can get into it. Over the course of my employment, a lot of shady things happened. The center claimed that they would help us start our own businesses, and we should get business licenses and they would contact us. In reality, this was a way for them to avoid paying taxes and making us do it instead. As well, there were a lot of make a video about blank orders, but no instructions until the finished video was handed in. We did stories on a lot of cultural topics, so this could be really difficult at times. On top of that, the boss was almost never there, so when we had questions, we basically had to figure things out ourselves. Despite all of this, I was loyal. I worked there for 2 years, and I'm confident that I was a major reason we were going for a while, because whenever somebody messed something up in video, I was the one they came to fix it. Sometimes with hours left to deadline. I filmed almost all the events we covered. I knew where all of the files were for everything, the passwords, and a lot more. People asked me about all of these things when they forgot. I also managed the YouTube page all by myself. But for whatever reason, the boss started to trust us less and less. Locks were changed on the doors, so none of our keys worked. Director and I were placed in an office where somebody was constantly watching us. Our time cards were argued about, and we were accused of only playing video games while at work. We played our switches at lunch. I think he had trust issues because he's a sketchy person. He had the kind of fake being friends with everyone in case you need a favor view on life. Director and I started to be blamed for bad camera framing when we weren't even at the shoot. This got to the point where we were told to take extra training, but editor, who was mostly responsible for these mistakes, was treated like a queen. Even if I complained about something editor had done, nothing would ever come of it. Then comes December of 2018. Boss calls a meeting. He tells us all that the magazine will be transitioning into its own business separate from the youth center. Here, on top of video and writing duties, we will be searching for contracts and driving to other cities in our province to film. He then proceeds to hand us a contract that we're required to sign if we continue to work for him. This contract sucks. There were a lot of things in there that would do us over, but the main things were that while working for them, we wouldn't be allowed to conduct our own contracts, and if we quit, we can't work in our field in any of the whole province for 6 months. On top of that, our job titles would be changed to interns, and our pay would stay the same even though we were promised $18 an hour. Literally, all of us were mad about this contract, but whenever we brought up problems, he would say, "This is non-negotiable. It's a perfectly normal contract." He also accused me of trying to find loopholes whenever I tried to discuss it. I have no idea about contracts, but if you're claiming to start youth up on their own businesses, this is not how you do it. He let us know to aid with the transfer to a new business, he was in talks for a new contract worth a lot of money. He didn't disclose how much, probably so we wouldn't feel entitled to be paid for more doing all the work. He gave us a week to look at the contract. After that, there would be 1 week until Christmas. I spent all of the week dreading the next Monday when I had to make a decision. I begged boss to change it, but he stood firm. He even indicated that if we weren't happy with it, we might as well quit. This is important. Then, on the Friday evening, I noticed that my job is listed on a job board. I'm shocked. I checked Facebook, the magazine website, and everything. My passwords are removed. I have no login. He's trying to strong-arm me into signing. Then on Monday, my girlfriend and I get breakfast before I go in when I get a text from director letting me know he got fired upon walking into the building. My gears start to turn in my head. If he fired director, then he's definitely counting on having me to do all of the work still. I know that I won't get fired because I'm the only person capable of making videos properly. So instead of going to work, my girlfriend and I type up a letter of resignation, walk over to Staples and print it out, and bring it over to work. Before I give it to him, he greets me and lets me know that he fired director. The casual way he talks to me about it confirms he expects me to stay. But he did this to himself by listing my job and arrogantly stating that we should quit if we didn't like the contract. So I hand him an envelope which has my letter in it. "What's this, Aqualink 97? My letter of resignation. He is shocked, but accepts. I think in that moment, he finally realized that his actions have consequences. Then he walks inside. I say goodbye to everybody, hugs all around, pack up my stuff, then find him crying in the sound room. I talk to director later, and he tells me that his mom was connected to boss's huge paying contract and that he actually hadn't had the contract yet. Director's mom was really upset and since they hadn't signed anything yet, she pulled some strings and got director the contract instead. Turns out it was worth something like $60,000. So basically, the boss tried to strong-arm us into signing a crappy contract, then lost the only competent employee and a $60,000 contract. Editor and rapper eventually quit too. Rapper decided to focus on his music career and is doing pretty well for himself. I worked video contracts for a while until I got a full-time job again. So, as a result of all of his crappiness and overall arrogance, boss no longer has enough money to print an actual magazine, is short-staffed, constantly going through new employees who always end up quitting, and rarely uploads videos. Their videos have crappy titles too, like the title of the camera footage, and rarely have edited thumbnails. I think it's safe to say we destroyed his ambition of starting a business exploiting people right before Christmas. And just to be clear, even though I had the effects that my quitting would have on him in mind, I also knew that the youth center was funded separately from us, so we didn't ruin any poor kids' lives. Have you ever had a boss try to take advantage of you? If so, what did you do about it? Please let us know. Am I the jerk for embarrassing my influencer friend by intentionally letting her post a meme that made her look stupid? I feel kind of bad, but I have a friend who thinks of herself as a highly popular mom influencer. She's in her 40s, and she has a habit of taking other people's posts, memes, etc., and reposting them as her own. She even steals personal, heartfelt words from other bloggers and Instagrammers about their own struggles with body image, depression, etc., and slightly changes them to repost as her own. She's grown a decent following from this and gets sponsored by brands for keeping it real. Honestly, I'll admit, part of me is likely jealous, so I'll own that. But mostly, I just think it's gross that she is lying and making up a whole personality that has people thinking she's something she's not. Anyway, there's this challenge going around on social media called the Hidden Cat Challenge, and I thought it would be funny to send her a photo of Monica's apartment from friends and say, "Bet you can't find the cat in this photo." I figured she'd recognize it and laugh, but within a few minutes, she had posted it on all of her social media, telling people that it was her latest Airbnb, and making up an elaborate backstory about a random cat that lived there and challenging people to find it. I messaged her asking why she would lie, and she just said that she needed content and no one would ever know. So I just kept my mouth shut and sat back to see what would happen. Obviously, people immediately began calling her out, and she tried to defend herself, but it wasn't long before she took it down and had to turn off comments on all of her social accounts. She's now telling me I'm the jerk for letting her post it, and I may have cost her sponsors and taken food out of her kids' mouths. Am I the jerk? Edit. Just to clarify, I had no idea she was going to post it. The whole point was that the photo didn't even have a cat in it. It was a joke. She posted it with a whole fake story and tried to make people find the non-existent cat in the photo, which added hugely to her embarrassment. After she got mad, I even tried to help by suggesting she simply tell people she accidentally posted the wrong photo or even say it was a joke, but she locked down her profiles, which obviously made her look bad. None of our friends blame me, but she is seriously upset and is refusing to speak to me. I never intended to make her look bad, but since she brushed me off when I first called her out, I figured I'd just let it play out. I guess that is why she thinks I'm the jerk. Well, what do you think? Is OB the jerk or is their friend? Please let us know. Lying has consequences. Some people have to learn the hard way. That's illegal. Just because he's okay with it doesn't mean you should sell it to him. This happened about a few years ago. I worked as a sales rep for one of the larger phone carriers in the US. It was a slow night and the store was empty when this guy came in. He wanted to upgrade his phone 1, which he had just got 2 months ago on monthly payments. He also was not on our upgrade program. He had already decided he wanted phone 2. At this point, he owed about $550 on phone 1, and the trade-in value was only about $100. Yeah, trade was horrible rates at the time. I told him about this, and he said he didn't care. He then went on for 10 minutes bragging about how he had just got a raise, is making crazy money, he can afford to buy 5 of the phone 2. I just sat there listening to him. I then told him that I wouldn't recommend trading in phone 1 because he would still have to make monthly payments on the remaining balance, plus another monthly payment for phone 2, which was a more expensive phone. I should note, he wasn't the primary on the account, his wife was, but he was authorized. I asked if his wife would be okay with it, and he said he didn't need her permission to do what he wants. He ended up trading in phone 1 and getting phone 2, plus he spent over $400 on accessories. All along, I continued to recommend that he does not do this. Before making the sale or a trade-in, I got my manager involved so he could talk to the customer and make sure the customer understood what he was doing. In all, I told him 7 times not to do it, plus my manager twice. He still did it. So after the sale, following procedure, I made notes in the account detailing everything that happened. Fast forward 2 days, the store gets a call and they ask for me. It was customer service who had the wife on the phone who wanted to talk to me. We've got me and we've got the wife and customer service. Me: thank you for calling the store. This is OP. Customer service: hi OP, I have the wife on the phone and she wanted to talk to you about the sale you made to her husband. Me: okay, what can I do for you, the wife? The wife: do you think what you did was okay? Me: I'm sorry, what was that? Do you think what you did was okay? Taking advantage of my husband. Me: I'm not sure what you mean. Karen: you convinced my husband to buy a new phone, and you took his 2-month-old phone and gave him basically nothing for it. Me: I understand, ma'am. I informed your husband many times about what would happen and recommended multiple times that he should not do that. Karen raises her voice: that is bad business and unethical. You should not have sold him anything. I am a business owner, and I would never take advantage of a customer the way you did. If you knew it was a bad idea, it's your job not to sell it. Me: ma'am, cuts me off. Seriously, what you did is just unethical and wrong. Do you understand that? What you did is illegal. You can't just sell it to him if you think it's wrong. Me: I know. Cuts me off again. You should not have sold it to him. We want the phone he traded in back. We are also returning all the accessories you sold him on. This is so messed up. Now, I'm getting annoyed for being blamed for this. It's clear the husband told her a different story. I didn't mention to her, people do things like this at least once a month. Me: okay, I made every effort to help your husband. He came into our store bragging about how much money he's making and how he can buy whatever he wanted, even 5 of these phones. That said, I even got my manager involved so he could hear it from someone else. You cuts me off. Oh, even your manager was in on it? Wait until I talk to corporate about your store's unethical tactics. Me: okay, Karen, at this point, there's nothing I can do for you on the phone. You can return the accessories, and if you'd like, you can talk to my manager about what happened when you get here. Anything else I can do for you? Tell me why you sold the phone to him and thought it was okay to do so. Me: ma'am, as I told you, you can discuss this with my manager when you get here. Anything else I can do for you? Yeah, answer my last question. This is just bad business. Me: once again, ma'am, there's nothing on the phone I can do for you. We will gladly help you in my store when you get here. Have a good day. I hang up. The only thing I was not going to tell her over the phone is that once her husband traded in the phone, there was no way to get it back, as all trade-ins are final. His trade-in phone was already shipped out. The couple come in later that day, and she was upset. The husband, however, didn't say a word. I'll skip the dialogue on this one because it was way too long. Simply put, my manager backed me up the entire time he helped them return the accessories. I couldn't help myself and went over there and started repeating everything that the husband had bragged to me about, and I even added the line about how he didn't need his wife's permission. The look she gave him when I said that was the best redemption I could ever have. He tried blaming everything on me, and now I was able to bury him for it. After that, she lightened up a little. She then returned the new phone, removed his name as an authorized user, and bought him a flip phone. Speaking of phones, what kind of phone do you have? Please let us know. Where my iPhone family at, bruh? Am I the jerk for changing the password on an account I own that my ex was using to make money? So, long story, but please stay with me. My ex-boyfriend and I broke up in 2017, and while we were dating, he was using an online gaming service in my name and started a game modding business. When we broke up, I allowed him to continue using my gaming account because I didn't have a computer to play on, because he kept the gaming computer he had purchased me as a gift, along with every gift he had ever purchased for me. But he wouldn't let me take any gifts I'd purchased for him, including a high-end drone and a 3D printer. In March of 2019, I got an email from the gaming service company stating that I was locked out of my account. I contacted the company and was told that someone had put in a claim to change the email and claimed the account was theirs and they no longer had access to that email. We spoke via Facebook Messenger, and he argued that he was just trying to get his games moved off of my account, but not that he was trying to take the whole thing. I provided screenshots showing where I had purchased several of the games he was trying to take. We agreed that I would allow him to continue using the account in the meantime. I don't know why, but I didn't feel like arguing with him anymore. While using the account, he had someone gifting games to my email and my account for him to use for his business. I got a gaming computer late last year and decided to play my games again, but upon downloading, realized that I didn't have access to online features when he was playing. I played offline for a while, but I hated not having access to all of the features, so I stopped playing for a bit. Now, I got married last October, and after talking to my husband, we decided that it was weird that my ex-boyfriend had access to my account. I finally plucked up the courage to change the login credentials after talking to my therapist and some friends. Now he's threatening to take me to small claims court over these games if I don't either give him access to my account and have him pay me for all of the games I purchased, some of which are no longer available for download, or me pay him for all of the games he purchased or were gifted to my account. I asked my husband to message him because I was having a panic attack. I read my husband's message. It was very polite, but he stated that we would countersue if he took us to small claims court and asked my ex not to contact us again unless through legal discourse. He messaged me afterward saying that my husband was trying to intimidate him and that I have a time frame to tell him which course I'd like to take. Am I the jerk here? Edit. So after reading more of the terms of service for the company, they do not allow accounts to be sold or transferred. Thank you to the person who DM'd me and helped me figure that out, and thank you to everyone who has commented. Edit. Holy cow, I woke up and this exploded, so update. I sent him a copy of the terms of service last night and told him not to contact me unless through a lawyer. He told me he'd see me in court, so we'll see what happens next. Thank you all again for the advice and comments. Crazy Karen doesn't like that I smoke cigars in my own vehicle, tries to grab one out of my mouth, gets what she deserves. People have lost that last bit of sanity during these troubling times. Okay, so as the title states, I smoke cigars. Mostly cheap factory rejects, but an occasional good one too. I do not smoke in my house or around other people, as I know a very select group of people enjoy that particular aroma. Other points to note here. I drive my youngest to and from school, which is less than a mile away, seeing as the weather in my neck of the woods is bipolar at best. So, setting. Yesterday afternoon, I'm parked way outside school zone in a line to pick up kids, probably a block away in a residential neighborhood. I drive a big truck with a loud exhaust system. Players. We've got me, we've got Karen, and we've got the principal. I'm in the line of vehicles, engine off, listening to a good book on Audible, smoking the last bit of a good cigar. For those who don't know, a cigar can be set down and refreshed if it needs to be. Also, I never do this on school grounds, and always have it out before my kid gets in the truck. It's my truck, and no one else drives it, so I don't mind the smell, and I have a bottle of Febreze that I use every couple of days. Anyway, about 5 minutes later, I see a woman get out of her car and begin to approach me. I watched her walk up past the two vehicles behind me and head my way. She's got the typical Karen looks, hair, clothes, way too much makeup and the like. She comes up right on my window and just stands there looking at me. I rolled my window down all the way and asked her if she needed anything. Dialogue as follows. Karen. What the heck do you think you're doing? Me. Excuse me? Karen. You're doing drugs. You should be ashamed of yourself. Me. What in the blue heck are you talking about? Karen. I can see it in your hand and smell it. Me. Well, obviously you can't smell it because this is a cigar. Karen. I don't think so. I'm calling the police. Knock yourself out, you dumb jerk. After her brain short circuits from being called a jerk, she tried to open my door, which was locked. Then she reached in my window and tried to grab the cigar out of my mouth. Now, life has taught us all from a very young age that fire is hot and things that burn from fire are also hot. But physics never seems to be on forefront of these morons. So she immediately burned her hand on the cigar and jumped back, screaming that I did that on purpose. I started laughing because it was very funny. She then tried the door again and I obliged by opening it as hard as I could, which knocked her back onto the ground, which made me laugh even more. Karen. You jerk! I'm going to report you for assault. I'm going to get you and your kid kicked out of here. Me. Yeah, whatever, Karen. Go back to your car before you have a heart attack. She walked back to her car, all the while yelling at me. I made sure to keep an eye on her in my rear view until we got closer to the school. Now, the school principal is always outside directing traffic between the parents and school buses. He and I know each other because being in a northern state, but being fans of the U of Miami is not something you see a lot of up here. So we've talked about football and other stuff about the school. God, that was a disappointing season. So he knows me a little and my truck is unique in size, color, and exhaust. As I'm waiting to pull up to the place where you pick up your kid, I see the Karen park, get out, and head directly towards the principal. She made sure to walk by me and give me dirty looks, like I guess that was supposed to intimidate me or something. Spoiler alert, it did not. She gave the principal an earful. Couldn't quite hear what she was saying, but she made sure to be as dramatic as possible. Principal is doing his best to direct traffic and put up with her BS, and I assume said something to placate her because she walked away all smug and again made sure to walk by me so I could see her smile again. I pulled up and my kid got in, and as I figured he would, the principal comes over to me. Principal, did you really put out a cigar on her hand and slam your door into her head? Me, that's so stupid, I don't even know where to start. First, she reached into my vehicle and tried to get the cigar out of my mouth and burned her own hand like an idiot. Second, she tried to open my door not once, but twice, so I obliged her the second time. Third, if I had opened the door as hard as I could into her, she'd be knocked out on the road. If she got bruised along with her ego, that's just tough luck. Principal sighs. That's about what I thought happened. Just do me a favor and don't retaliate. I don't need another headache. Me, no worries for me, man. Just here to pick up the kid. Go Canes! My kid put up the U symbol as we drove away, and that's it. I'll be picking up the kid later today again, so hopefully there's no repeat of that nonsense. The $15,000 equipment is too expensive for your department to purchase? Why don't you just rent it for $48,000 a year? Back in the days when 33.6 kilobytes per second modems were hot crap, I worked for the engineering department for a growing company. This company had started small. It was privately owned, and the VPs had all put in a portion of their own money to start the company. By this time in the story, they were finally making a respectable $30 to $40 million a year in profits, but they still acted like a small company, penny pinching. Our engineering department was designing circuit boards with embedded computer systems, and to program these, instead of soldering the microcomputer to the board, we would solder on a microcontroller socket and then plug in an in-circuit emulator that would pretend it was a microcontroller and allow the programmer to create the required program. This in-circuit emulator, or ICE, was made by Hitachi. It plugged into a free PCI slot on your PC and had a ribbon cable that would attach to the specialized microcontroller die that plugged into the socket. It was a mess. It gave our tiny IT department headaches, and it cost $15,000. And it was an absolute necessity for most of our most popular product lines. And there was only one of them. And we were renting it. It cost like $4,000 a month. The first month we had it, our CTO and marketing VP planned our whole new product line around this family of microcontrollers. So at the end of the month, us engineers asked management to buy this for us, since we would be using it for a while. The engineering VP saw the price tag and told us to just rent it. Surely we wouldn't be done with it soon. Engineers, being practical, forgot about the objection and just put our noses to the wheel. The CTO and marketing made plans to keep us busy using this microcontroller line for a while. They pre-ordered a few million chips. After a year, the VP of Finance asked about this recurring contract line item. They called the engineer who had originally started the contract. The engineer helpfully forwarded the approval from the engineering VP and his later email asking to buy it, and the VP's reply where he demurred. By the end of the week, this toy was ours, along with a second one since finance determined that product rollout was being affected by not enough access to the equipment. Hitachi just gave us the first one, stopped charging us, and never asked for it back. We paid $15,000 for a second one. No one got fired or demoted, but the next department meeting, the engineering VP tried to tell us that we didn't have enough money to upgrade our PCs. That one engineer spoke up. Would $40,000 cover it? The company found the money. Crazy neighbor tells daughter that she can play in my garden without my permission. I was watching birds in the garden through my window. I was really bored and had nothing to do. I was just about to take a photo of one really pretty bird when my neighbor's kid ran into my garden without permission. She started running around with her bubbles, also scaring the birds off and singing to herself, like a lot of kids do. I opened the door and was about to ask her why she was there, but she got scared and ran off. I called the girl's mom, Helen, and asked her why her daughter was in my garden running around. At first she was confused, but I was sure that it was her kid. She then said, "Oh, now I remember. But why are you calling? Is she not allowed to be there?" I said, "No, she ran into my garden without permission and started scaring the birds I was watching." "So? You can watch your dumb little bird some other time. I sent out my daughter into your garden and you don't have permission to kick her off." I was now really angry. First of all, I did not kick her off. She ran away on her own. Second of all, this is my garden, and I say who's allowed in here and who's not. You do not have the right to send her here. She seemed offended and hung up. I rolled my eyes and went outside to make sure she didn't come back. I noticed she crushed one of the vegetables I planted. I don't remember what it was, but it was about to be old enough to take out and use. She lived on the other side of the street, but she was with some other neighbors to have a talk. Since I was outside now, I saw where this neighbor was and heard her say to her daughter, "You can go on that man's garden. He won't do anything." I was raging. I went closer to her and said, "Helen, I don't know why you think you can buy my Nintendo Switch for $20 and let your daughter in my garden whenever you want. This is not normal, and I'm sick of you doing these things. I'm not the only neighbor who thinks this. Almost half of the street agrees. If you want to do this, go ask other neighbors and stop doing it to me." She went silent and turned kind of red. Her daughter started crying. She cries all the time, and they both stormed away. I heard her shout to me, "My husband is a police officer, and I'll make sure that he will have a word with you." I once again rolled my eyes and also went back home. You definitely haven't seen this video yet, so please come watch it next and we'll see you when you get there. And please support our coffee addiction by joining as a channel member today, and we'll give you a special shout out in our next video. And to have us make any kind of special video you'd like us to, just come visit us on Fiverr, link pinned in the comments below.